You ever wonder why people keep asking you, what's your secret? They look at your skin, your strength, your resilience, how your face glows even after all you've been through, and they can't quite figure it out. It's not makeup, it's not a new diet, it's not even good genetics. They don't realize they're staring at someone who's been touched by the divine. They're witnessing the afterglow of survival, the evidence of favor, the signature of God's hand resting on your life. That glow, that youthfulness, that unexplainable energy, it's not natural, it's supernatural. You, dear soul, are not like everyone else. You've been chosen, set apart, hand-picked for a path that no one else could walk and still come out whole. That's why you look younger, not because you haven't lived, but because you've lived through hell and came out looking like heaven. That's divine reversal. That's the fingerprint of glory. God didn't just preserve you, He renewed you. People see the shine, but they don't see the scars hidden beneath. They see your calm spirit, your gentle smile, your peaceful energy, but they don't know the storms you've weathered. They don't understand that every wrinkle you don't have, every gray hair that never came, every sickness you overcame without explanation, it was all because you were being kept, covered, preserved for purpose. Let me speak directly to your soul tonight, because I know you've questioned it yourself. You've looked in the mirror and said, how am I still standing? Why do I feel stronger now than I did 5 years ago, even after all the betrayals, the heartbreaks, the setbacks? That's not just resilience, that's restoration. That's what it looks like when God rewinds time, not to take you back, but to align you for your calling. Your youth is being renewed like the eagles, not to flatter your ego, but to prepare you to soar. There were moments you thought you'd lose your mind. People don't know the nights you cried yourself to sleep, or the times you laid awake with thoughts racing so fast you could barely breathe. They don't know how many times you felt forgotten, invisible, misunderstood. But heaven never lost sight of you. And while people turned away, God leaned in closer. And while life tried to aid you through pain, the Spirit was healing you in silence. You weren't just surviving, you were being transformed. While the world thought you were breaking down, heaven was building you up. That's why you've got that glow. That's why you radiate peace now, because even when it looked like you were losing everything, what was really happening was this. God was stripping away what was fake, what was shallow, what wasn't meant to stay, so He could reveal the masterpiece He always saw in you. And now you walk into rooms and people sense something different. They feel something ancient yet new. There's a timelessness about you, like your spirit has seen too much to be fooled, but your heart has healed enough to still believe. You're not bitter, you're not cynical. You've got wisdom in your eyes and light in your laugh. That's divine paradox. That's what it looks like when someone has walked through fire but doesn't smell like smoke. You are not aging the way others do because you're not bound to this world's rules. You're governed by a higher law, one that says strength is made perfect in weakness, that says the last shall be first, that says those who sow in tears will reap in joy. You have sown in pain, and now you're reaping a harvest of vitality, clarity, and strength. And still, they don't understand. They wonder why, despite the weight you've carried, you haven't buckled. They whisper, how does she do it? How does he still smile after all that? The answer is this: you were carried, not by people, not by luck, but by divine arms that never sleep, never forget, never fail. Some of you were supposed to be buried by now, buried under depression, anxiety, generational curses, and betrayal. But here you are, living, laughing, glowing like the sun breaking through storm clouds. That's not luck. That's prophecy unfolding. You are living proof that God doesn't just rescue, He restores, renews, and reintroduces you to the world in a form they never expected. You're stronger now, not just emotionally, but spiritually. You're sharper. You've got discernment now. You can feel people's intentions before they speak. You can sense atmospheres. You walk into spaces and things shift because your presence is no longer ordinary. It's sacred. It's charged. Because heaven has marked you. That's why some people can't look you in the eye anymore. That's why others try to mock or downplay your strength. It's not that they hate you, it's that your presence confronts their compromise. Your radiance exposes their pretense. Your glow, the one they can't explain, reminds them of everything they've ignored in themselves. And that glow, it doesn't come from a place of vanity. It comes from being refined in silence, pruned in private, resurrected by grace. God has been keeping you in his secret place, not hidden to punish, but hidden to protect. Because your time hadn't come yet. And now the covering is lifting. Now your light is being revealed. Now your strength is being seen. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Your life is the evidence. You were never meant to blend in. That's why you felt like the outcast. That's why people misunderstood your silence, your boundaries, your hunger for truth. They labeled you too much or too intense, when really you were just built differently. The oil on your life made you stand out. The favor on your life made you hard to categorize. And now that same oil is what's preserving you, body, mind, and spirit. You don't just look younger, you are younger in the spirit. You've been renewed, not recycled. You've been reborn, not just rebranded. You've died to old versions of yourself, and every layer that fell off made room for glory to rise. You are the phoenix that didn't just rise from ashes. You carried fire in your wings. The world is about to see what happens when a chosen one rises without apology. You don't owe explanations. You owe obedience to the calling. That's why you've been preserved. That's why you've healed faster than expected. That's why you're glowing, flourishing, and moving in power again. Because heaven is saying, it's time. And here you are, unbothered, unshaken, unfolding into your divine assignment. It's not your skincare, it's not your workout, it's not your diet. It's the anointing, it's the oil, it's the presence of God resting upon you like dew in the morning. That's why you're aging backward. That's why you're stronger than ever, because heaven has been preparing you for a moment such as this. You didn't get here easily, did you? There were nights you didn't think you'd make it to the morning, mornings where you woke up numb as if your soul had been drained while you slept. Days when you moved through life like a ghost, unseen and unheard, yet somehow you kept going. People thought you were fun, even strong, but they didn't know you were holding yourself together with whispers and prayers. They didn't see the battles you fought when no one was watching. You've walked through deserts that nearly dried your spirit out. You've stood in rooms filled with laughter while your heart was breaking silently. You've smiled while your world was crumbling inside, and still you rose, not just because you're strong, but because you're chosen. You were never built to break. You were built to bend and bounce back. You were forged in fire, and every flame only made you more refined. Let's not romanticize the pain, though. The truth is, there were moments you almost gave up. You questioned your worth. You asked heaven, why me? Why this? You saw others glide through life while you seemed to face resistance at every turn. But the resistance wasn't punishment. It was preparation. The battles weren't random, they were sacred. Because God knew your destiny required armor. He knew your future demanded depth. So instead of sparing you, he strengthened you. He didn't shield you from pain. He sat with you in it, whispered truth into your wounds, and turned your agony into authority. And those battles, they weren't just hardships. They were spiritual wars. Wars that targeted your mind, your peace, your purpose. Because the enemy knew that if you ever figured out who you really are, nothing could stop you. That's why the attacks were so personal. That's why the betrayal cut so deep. That's why the rejection felt like death. Because it wasn't about the people, it was about your calling. It wasn't just heartbreak, it was warfare. You've faced spirits of delay, discouragement, despair, trying to derail you, but each time God whispered, keep walking. And you did. Bruised, but walking, bleeding, but moving. And now every step has brought you here, to this divine moment where everything is about to shift. The scales are tipping, the tide is turning, and heaven is standing to honor your endurance. There were people who counted you out. They assumed the silence meant you were finished. They thought the quiet seasons meant defeat. But what they didn't understand is that God hides his warriors in caves before he reveals them in battle. While they laughed, you were being sharpened. While they mocked, you were being matured. And now you don't even look like what you've been through. You've got strength in your step, fire in your eyes, and wisdom in your spirit. That's the divine upgrade. That's the anointing that only comes through crushing. You have earned your scars, and don't let anyone shame them. Those marks on your soul, they're proof that you've lived, that you've overcome, that you've endured what others couldn't. Your smile now carries a story. Your silence now holds power. You don't speak as quickly anymore, not because you're weak, but because you've seen too much to waste words. God has seen everything. Every time you held your tongue when you could have clapped back. Every time you chose mercy instead of vengeance. Every time you let them walk away, even when your heart wanted to scream. Heaven recorded it all. Your tears were not wasted. Your sacrifices were not forgotten. Your obedience was not in vain. And now God is saying, I'm about to honor what they ignored. I'm about to reward what they mocked. I'm about to bless what they betrayed. That glow on your face, it's not just survival, it's vindication. You were never crazy. You were never too much. You were simply ahead of your time, and now time is catching up with your truth. Now people are starting to see what you always carried. The same ones who once dismissed you are suddenly speechless, not because you proved anything, but because God made it undeniable. You were never trying to impress anyone. You were just trying to be faithful. But now your faithfulness is turning into favor. Your wounds are turning into wisdom. Your story is becoming a testimony that will set others free. You didn't go through all that pain for nothing. You were breaking ground for others. You were clearing paths in the spirit for generations to come. That's why the warfare was so intense. That's why your name was in rooms you've never entered. The enemy tried to assassinate your character before your purpose could fully emerge. He tried to suffocate your voice, cloud your mind, poison your relationships, because he saw what was coming. He saw the authority rising in you before you even knew it was there. But what the enemy didn't realize is this: you don't fight alone. Heaven backs you, angels surround you, and the hand of God is upon you. That's why you didn't collapse. That's why, despite everything, you still have hope. Because there's something holy in your DNA, something divine in your walk. You are the fulfillment of prayers your ancestors cried out generations ago. You are the fruit of survival, the echo of redemption. Your adversaries? They're trembling now, not because you said anything, not because you fought back, but because they see something in you they can't touch. They feel the shift in the atmosphere when you show up. They sense the weight of glory that walks beside you. The ones who once dismissed you now can't stop watching. The ones who once mocked your dreams now want to partner with your vision. But you're not the same anymore. You've grown, you've evolved, and now you walk with a holy confidence that cannot be manufactured. Your silence is louder now. Your peace is louder now. Your glow is louder now, because heaven has announced you, and no one can unsee what God is revealing. You are no longer hidden. The veil has been lifted. The wilderness season is over. And your enemies, they're realizing too late that what they tried to bury was actually a seed, and that seed has now become a tree, rooted, radiant, and bearing fruit they cannot touch. You are not rising to be petty. You're rising to fulfill prophecy. This is bigger than revenge. This is about redemption. You are stepping into the fullness of your identity, not to prove anything to them, but to honor what God placed in you before you were even formed in your mother's womb. Let them watch. Let them whisper. Let them wonder, because your story is no longer theirs to define. You've been marked, you've been sealed, and now you're walking in authority that no one can revoke. You are the chosen, not perfect, not without flaws, but divinely appointed for such a time as this. And the most powerful part? You're not even mad. You're not bitter. You're not seeking revenge. Because peace has become your posture, love has become your weapon, and purpose has become your compass. Or, you look younger because the weight has lifted. You feel stronger because the chains are gone. This is what it looks like when the hand of God is not just on you, but moves through you. Welcome to your rising. The shift has begun, and heaven is no longer whispering your name in secret. Now it's echoing in the spirit realm. The battles you fought in silence are about to be revealed in glory. What was once hidden is about to be displayed, and not just displayed, but honored, elevated, vindicated. This is the season of divine justice. Not the kind man can manipulate, not the kind courts can rule over, but the kind that only God himself can release. You're about to witness the Lord step into your story publicly. God is not only a comforter, he's a righteous judge. And he's been watching every false accusation, every betrayal disguised as friendship, every plot to humiliate you, every strategy to delay you. He saw it all, and while you cried yourself to sleep asking why, he was collecting evidence in silence. The verdict is now in motion. And this time it won't be you defending yourself. It'll be God speaking for you. You've been silent, but heaven hasn't. You've stayed still when you could have lashed out. You've prayed when you could have cursed. You chose to be faithful when retaliation seemed justified. And that is why the reward will be loud. That's why the reversal will be unmistakable. Because while others spoke against you, you kept building. While others gossiped, you kept worshiping. While others tried to bury you, you kept growing. And now they will watch as the same stone they rolled to trap you becomes your stepping stone. The same pit they dug will become your platform. The same mouths that mocked you will be silenced not by your hand, but by the glory of God on your life. This is the great reversal, the divine turnaround, where the last becomes first, where those who were counted out are counted on, where those who were forgotten are now being remembered in rooms of influence, in places of power. The tables are turning, not because you forced them, but because heaven has said, enough. Justice doesn't always look like punishment. Sometimes it looks like peace. And that's what's coming to your life. A peace that doesn't make sense, a joy that returns without warning. Doors you didn't knock on are about to swing open. Opportunities you thought passed you by are circling back around. People who rejected you are now watching from a distance, wondering how you're still standing, how you're glowing, smiling, thriving. But they didn't understand. God wasn't just healing your heart, he was reintroducing you to yourself. You thought you lost everything, but what you really lost was what couldn't go with you. And now, as you stand on the edge of this new season, you're not who you used to be. You're clearer now, more focused, more spiritually mature. You don't need validation anymore. You've seen what God can do when everyone else walks away. This is why you feel stronger, not just in body, but in spirit. Your discernment has grown. Your heart has been softened but guarded. Your trust in God has deepened to levels that can't be shaken. What used to break you now builds you. What once overwhelmed you now empowers you. And I want you to hear this deeply. Nothing was wasted. Not the tears, not the detours, not the sleepless nights. God is using it all. Every broken moment has been recycled into fuel for your future. You're not just going to survive, you're going to thrive in the very places where you were once humiliated. You're going to shine in rooms that once shut you out. You're going to love again, laugh again, dream again, not because everything is perfect, but because your spirit is finally free. And to those who tried to curse you with their words, who hoped to see you fail, who underestimated the weight of your calling, God's not sending vengeance, he's sending clarity. They're about to see clearly what they tried so hard to destroy. They're about to realize they weren't fighting a person, they were fighting a purpose. And purpose cannot be destroyed. It can only be delayed, but even delays serve destiny when you're chosen. You are stepping into a season of visibility, not for fame, not for ego, but for impact. People will be drawn to your story, not because it's dramatic, but because it's drenched in redemption. You'll walk into places where your presence alone will speak healing. You'll meet people who say, "There's something about you," and you won't even have to explain, because the hand of God is no longer hidden, it's obvious. There's a reason you've been feeling the fire stirring again. That idea you laid down, it's coming back. That dream you shelved, it's breathing again. That part of you that felt dead, it's being resurrected, because God is saying, now. Not later, not someday, now. You've been prepared, refined, and though it hurt, you didn't die in it. You lived, you matured, and now it's time to walk fully in what's already yours. But hear me, this victory isn't just about you. It's about the people tied to your obedience. Your healing will unlock healing in others. Your breakthrough will become the blueprint for someone else. Your comeback will echo across generations. You didn't suffer just to be strong. You suffered to carry oil. Oil that heals. Oil that breaks yokes. Oil that anoints the path for those coming behind you. So rise, not with arrogance, but with authority. Not with ego, but with evidence. Evidence that God still lifts the lowly, that He still defends the righteous, that He still restores the weary. Your life is about to become a walking testimony, a living scroll of grace, power, and favor. Now is not the time to shrink back. Now is not the time to question what's already been confirmed. You've already been chosen. You've already been marked. The hand of God isn't just on you, it's moving through you. Your voice matters. Your vision matters. Your very existence is prophetic proof that heaven still writes stories with broken people and turns them into legends. So move forward with boldness, with beauty, with fire in your belly and truth in your bones, because God isn't done. In fact, He's just getting started. And the next chapter? It's going to silence every lie that was ever spoken over your name. But don't be surprised when people you thought were long gone start reaching out. Don't be shocked when old relationships try to reconnect. Some will come because they see your light. Others will come because they feel your elevation. But not everyone who returns deserves access. You've changed. Your capacity has grown, and not everyone is meant to come with you where you're going. This is the moment to protect what God is birthing in you. Guard it. Nurture it. Don't rush to explain it. Let the fruit speak. Let the results show. The time for over-explaining is over. Your glow will speak louder than any defense. Your peace will answer every question, and your progress will silence every critic. You are victorious, not just spiritually, but visibly, not just inwardly, but publicly. You're not coming back, you're coming forth. This is not a return, it's a rise. And everything you thought you lost in the fire is being returned in double portion. Peace, joy, strength, favor, it's all coming back, multiplied, overflowing. Now walk in it with reverence, with humility, but also with the confidence of someone who knows they are backed by heaven. You've been silent long enough. You've been in the shadows long enough. You've wept long enough. The trumpet has sounded. The mantle has fallen. The door is open. Go through it. Have you ever stopped to ask, why me? Not in the way pain makes us ask, but in the way purpose demands us to pause. Why did you attract so much warfare? Why did people target you without reason? Why did betrayal find you even when all you offered was loyalty? Why did your name carry so much weight in the mouths of people who never even knew your heart? Let me tell you something that will shake you to your core. You weren't attacked because you were weak. You were attacked because you were powerful. You were opposed not because you were lost, but because you were found. The enemy doesn't target empty vessels. He targets those carrying something divine. And you, beloved, have always carried something sacred, something the darkness tried desperately to distort, delay, and destroy. You weren't born for ease, you were born for glory. And that glory comes at a cost. Many can't handle that truth. Many buckle under the weight of it, but not you, because deep down your spirit always knew. Something about your life was different. Something about your energy unsettled others. People couldn't explain why they felt uncomfortable around you or why they felt the need to dim your light. It's because your presence stirred what they tried to bury. And here's the paradox. The more they tried to shrink you, the more you expanded. The more they tried to discredit you, the more heaven validated you. The more you were pushed into the background, the more the fire inside you grew. That's spiritual law. The oil is crushed. The diamond is pressed. The warrior is forged in fire. What you thought were setbacks were actually sacred initiations. You've lived under laws that don't make sense to the world. You've had to give when you had nothing left. You've had to love when you were broken. You've had to forgive when justice never came. You've been told to stay silent while others lied. You've been led by spirit, not by sight. You've obeyed promptings that didn't align with logic, but somehow always led to breakthrough. This is the upside-down kingdom. The first become last, so the last can become first. The rejected become rulers, the abandoned become anointed. And you were born into contradiction. You were made to break cycles, not repeat them. That's why you were misunderstood, because you were never meant to mirror this world. You were sent to transform it. So what looked like chaos in your life was often just spiritual alignment in disguise. Every loss, every exile, every delay, divine. They weren't there to punish you. They were there to strip away what could not carry the weight of your future. You couldn't keep that relationship because it would have drained your purpose. You couldn't stay in that job because it would have dulled your anointing. You couldn't remain in that environment because it couldn't contain your capacity. And that's why people reacted the way they did. It wasn't always hatred. Sometimes it was confusion. Your light awakened their shadows. Your peace triggered their unrest. Your clarity exposed their confusion. You didn't mean to challenge them, but your presence demanded a choice: evolve or retreat. And most chose retreat. That's not your fault. That's divine sorting. The more anointed you are, the more isolation you'll experience. The more favor on your life, the more warfare you'll encounter. It's not a punishment, it's positioning. You were never meant to be one of the crowd. You were meant to walk ahead of it, carrying insight, truth, and healing others didn't even know they needed. And here's the beautiful mystery. The very attacks that were designed to crush you only revealed who you really are. You found your voice when they tried to silence it. You found your calling in the place of pain. You found God not in palaces, but in pits. And that revelation, that sacred encounter with your Creator, has become your anchor. Because now you know your identity doesn't come from approval. It doesn't come from applause. It doesn't even come from success. It comes from heaven. You've been named by God, sealed by fire, claimed by light. No title, no platform, no opinion can ever change that. The psychology of those who hurt you, it wasn't about you. It was their own unhealed wounds, their own suppressed callings, their own refusal to rise. People who see you walking in what they buried in themselves will always feel triggered, but that's not your burden to carry. Your job is to shine anyway, to love anyway, to speak anyway, to rise anyway. Because the truth is, you're not just rising for yourself. You're rising for every person who's watching in silence, hoping your story confirms that they can make it too. There are eyes on you that you don't even know about. People you've never met who feel seen just by watching you be authentic. There's a quiet revival happening through your obedience. You are the answer to someone's secret prayer. This is why the enemy fought so hard to take you out early. He tried to crush you before you realized your own power. He tried to use people, pain, and pressure to distort your perception of yourself. But he failed, because you didn't fold, you didn't quit. And now that you see clearly, you can never go back. You've tasted the truth now. You've touched the hem of the divine. You've walked through the wilderness and found manna. You've stood in fire and come out with a glow. That glow, people think it's outer beauty, No, it's transformation. It's holiness leaking out of healed places. And your soul's mission, it was never about perfection, it was about truth. You were called to embody truth in a world that loves deception. You were sent to expose false comfort and offer real healing. You were sent to be both mirror and medicine, revealing what's broken and radiating what's possible. So don't minimize your journey. Don't rush to tidy up your story. Let the scars show. Let the cracks glow. Let the paradox of your becoming speak louder than curated perfection ever could. The attacks came because you're dangerous to the darkness. The confusion came because the old structures couldn't hold your new identity. The pressure came because oil doesn't flow without it. And now you are walking in the beauty of contradiction. Youthful yet wise, soft yet strong, broken yet whole. This is your power. This is your truth. You've been called, crushed, and chosen, and nothing, no word, no wound, no weapon can unchoose you. You've crossed over. You're not just surviving anymore. You're shining. And the world is about to witness what happens when the chosen one remembers who they are. You've come a long way. And I know sometimes when you're sitting alone with your thoughts, it's hard to believe how far you've actually traveled. The world doesn't always celebrate quiet endurance. People rarely see the sacred battles behind your calm smile, but heaven sees it all. And I need you to know right here, right now, that you are not just surviving anymore. You're stepping into divine fruition. You've carried burdens that were never yours, fought wars you never started, endured storms that seemed to come from nowhere, and yet look at you, glowing, stronger, calmer, still full of love, still full of purpose. You've been through what would have buried most, but instead of dying, you blossomed. That's not just resilience, that's the evidence of being chosen. Chosen ones are not perfect. We fall, we doubt, we question, but what separates you is that even in the valley, you never let go of the light. You never let the dark claim you. You may have cried, but you never stopped believing. You may have crawled, but you never gave up on walking again. And now the hand of God is raising you, softly, intentionally, into your next season. You didn't have to chase it. The favor is chasing you. You didn't have to prove yourself. The anointing is speaking for you. You didn't have to fight for a seat at the table. God is preparing a table in front of your enemies, with your name etched in gold. This is not the reward of hustling. This is the reward of obedience. And what's coming next? Oh, it's more than you asked for. It's more than you imagined. Because when God restores, He doesn't just return things as they were. He multiplies. He rebuilds with beauty. He resurrects with power. What was broken will be better. What was delayed will be accelerated. What you thought was lost will return dressed in glory. And here's what I feel led to tell you. Stop bracing for the next blow. Stop expecting pain where God is preparing blessing. You've been in battle mode so long that peace feels suspicious. Joy feels fleeting. Good news feels like a setup. But this isn't a trap. This is favor. This is rest. This is the fulfillment of every secret seed you planted in tears. Let the walls down. Let the healing in. Let the new version of you emerge without apology. You don't owe the world an explanation for why you look younger, why you feel lighter, why you move with such grace. That's the hand of God on you. That's what happens when heaven breathes over your life. Yes, people will talk. Yes, some will misunderstand. But you don't need their understanding. You have God's endorsement. And when God opens a door, no man, no demon, no past version of you can close it. Walk through it. Walk through it with gratitude, with power, with humility. Walk through it knowing that this time you're not walking alone. You're walking with heaven behind you. There's more coming, more favor, more strength, more connections aligned with your soul, more provision for your vision. The wilderness was real, but it was never the end. It was training ground. It was character school. It was the sacred forge where the old version of you burned and the chosen one arose. And I want you to understand something deep in your spirit. You're not just blessed, you are becoming a blessing. You're not just shining, you're guiding. Your words, your presence, your walk, it all carries weight now. You don't have to try. Just being who you are is spiritual warfare against every lie the enemy tried to place on others. You're proof that God still delivers, that He still speaks, that He still transforms. So here is the call. Don't shrink. Don't minimize your gift. Don't dim your light to make others comfortable. The world doesn't need more conformity. It needs more authenticity. And you, chosen one, are a divine disruption to the systems of fear and shame. You are a key in the lock. You are a trumpet in the silence. You are the answer to problems no one else is built to solve. Let that anointing flow through everything you do, from your conversations to your creativity, from your business to your boundaries. Let your yes be fire. Let your no be final. Let your presence make demons nervous and hurting people feel safe. Walk with authority, not because you're arrogant, but because you know the cost of your crown. And if no one has told you lately, if you've been wondering whether anyone really sees you, hears you, values you, I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not late. You are exactly where God wants you. So lift your head, shake off the dust of yesterday, step into your divine assignment, not as someone begging for favor, but as someone already crowned with it. The glow they see on you now, that's just the beginning. That's the surface. What's coming next is radiance. Not from status, not from achievement, but from alignment. The kind of alignment that births miracles, that shifts families, that awakens nations. Go forth, chosen one. Be bold, be radiant, be free. And as you go, may every room you enter shift with your presence. May every heart you touch feel a spark of heaven. May every shadow that tries to linger flee from the light you carry. This isn't the end of your story. It's the rise of your next chapter, and this time it will be written in glory. You look younger, you feel stronger, you are walking proof of divine preservation, and all of it, every glow, every breath, every blessing, is the unmistakable mark of God's hand on you. Until next time, walk in power, walk in peace, and never forget who you are. You are chosen, and nothing can unchoose you.